Welcome to Lake Natron, a place where beauty and danger collide in one of the most surreal landscapes on Earth. Tucked away in northern Tanzania, this blood-red lake is unlike anything you've ever seen. Its waters are so caustic they can burn skin, yet they support a thriving ecosystem of flamingos and rare algae. And then, there's the eerie phenomenon that's captured the world's imagination. Animals that appear to turn to stone along its shores. What makes this lake so deadly and so mesmerizing? Join me as we dive into the science, the wildlife, and the mysteries of Lake Natron, a place where life and death coexist in a way you'll never forget. Lake Natron sits in northern Tanzania, just over 100 kilometers northwest of Arusha, with its northern tip crossing into Kenya, stretching 56 kilometers long and up to 24 kilometers wide. This shallow lake, barely 1.6 feet deep in places, is a geological marvel. It's part of the East African Rift System, a tectonic boundary where the African plate is slowly tearing apart. This rift creates a volatile landscape, dominated by the nearby Doinyo Lengai, an active volcano known as the Mountain of God in the Maasai language. The lake's water is fed by the southern Uaso-Ngiro River, and mineral-rich hot springs that bubble up from the volcanic bedrock. But here's the catch. Lake Natron is a terminal lake. It has no outlet to a river or sea, so the water doesn't flow out. Instead, it evaporates under the scorching Tanzanian sun, leaving behind a concentrated cocktail of salts and minerals. This process creates a lake so alkaline, its pH can reach 10.5, almost as caustic as ammonia. To put that in perspective, that's not far off from household bleach. The high alkalinity comes from natron-hydrated sodium carbonate Tanzania, compounds that flow into the lake from the surrounding volcanic hills. These minerals give Lake Natron its otherworldly appearance and its deadly reputation. But it's not just the chemistry that makes this lake stand out. It turns a deep, blood-red color of phenomenon so striking it can be seen from space. So, why does Lake Natron sometimes look like a pool of blood? The answer lies in the microscopic life that thrives in its harsh waters. During the dry season, when evaporation ramps up, the lake's salinity skyrockets. This creates the perfect environment for salt-loving microorganisms called haloorganisms, and cyanobacteria, or blue-green algae. These tiny organisms produce red and orange pigments as part of their photosynthesis process, painting the lake in vivid hues. The red color isn't constant, it waxes and wanes with the seasons. In the dry months from late May to early November, the lake shrinks, and these algae blooms explode, turning the water a deep crimson. In shallower areas, you might see more orange tones, while the lake's edges often crust over with pinkish-white soda crystals. It's a surreal sight, like something out of a science fiction movie. And here's a fun fact. These same pigments are what give lesser flamingos their iconic pink feathers. Yes, the flamingo's diet of cyanobacteria literally colors their bodies, but don't let the beauty fool you. The water's extreme alkalinity and scorching temperatures, sometimes reaching 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius, make it deadly for most creatures. If an animal drinks from or falls into Lake Natron, the caustic water can burn its skin and eyes. And then there's the phenomenon that's made this lake infamous: the calcified animals. In 2013, photographer Nick Brandt brought Lake Natron to the world's attention with his book Across the Ravaged Land. His images showed something chilling: birds and bats, perfectly preserved along the lake's shores, looking as if they'd been turned to stone. Doves, fish, eagles, and other creatures appeared frozen in time, their bodies outlined in chalky sodium carbonate deposits. Brandt found these animals washed up along the shoreline and carefully repositioned them to look alive again in death. He wrote, "No one knows for certain exactly how they die, but the water's high soda and salt content is so extreme it would strip the ink off my Kodak film boxes within seconds. The process isn't instant petrification, as some media reports have claimed. When animals die in the lake, the sodium carbonate acts like a natural preservative, calcifying their remains into mummified forms. It's a grim but fascinating process, turning Lake Natron into a natural museum of death. But here's the paradox. While Lake Natron is deadly to most, It's a haven for a select few species that have adapted to its extreme conditions. and no creature embodies this resilience more than the lesser flamingo. Lake Natron is the world's most important breeding ground for lesser flamingos, hosting 1.5 to 2.5 million of them, about 75% of the global population. Between August and October, these birds gather to mate, building mud nests on small islands that form in the lake during the dry season. These islands, surrounded by caustic water, are a natural fortress, keeping predators at bay. Lesser flamingos are perfectly adapted to Lake Natron. Their tough, scaly legs protect them from burns, and they feed almost exclusively on the cyanobacteria that color the lake red. They eat upside down, dipping their curved bills into the water to filter out the algae. It's this diet that gives them their pink-hua direct link between the lake's chemistry and its wildlife. When the eggs hatch, usually during the wet season in November, the chicks form massive groups of up to 300,000 young flamingos. These are watched over by unrelated adults, a kind of flamingo daycare system. The sight of millions of pink-canned white flamingos spread across the lake is breathtaking, earning Lake Natron a starring role in documentaries like Disney Nature's The Crimson Wing, Mystery of the Flamingos. But flamingos aren't the only survivors here. It's Alkalapia, Latalapia, and Alkalapia and Dalalani thrive in the less salty waters near the hot spring inlets, alongside another tilapia species, Alkalapia alkalaica. These fish, along with certain storks and other water birds, prove that life can find a way, even in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Beyond the lake itself, the region around Lake Natron is a mosaic of ecosystems. Salt marshes and freshwater wetlands support a variety of wildlife, from greater flamingos to marabou storks. Cory bustards, and even the striking secretary bird, might also spot zebras, giraffes, wildebeests, or the rare fringed oryx. And here's a surprise. Dromedary camels, introduced to replace donkeys, are sometimes herded by the local Maasai. The landscape is also home to rare flora, like the vibrant desert rose with its deep pink blooms. But it's not just about the wildlife. The area's cultural and geological significance adds another layer to its allure. Nearby, the Galai volcano looms at 9,652 feet, and at Ponanj, archaeologists uncovered the Natron mandibula, fossilized jaw of Australopithecus boisei, offering a glimpse into human evolution. This mix of deadly waters, thriving wildlife, and ancient history makes Lake Natron a destination unlike any other. But for those seeking adventure, there's even more to explore. Lake Natron offers experiences you won't find anywhere else. One of the most thrilling is climbing Al Doinyo Lengai, the Mountain of God. This active volcano, standing at 10,459 feet, is one of East Africa's most challenging one-day climbs. Most hikers start at 10 p.m. to avoid the daytime heat, guided by local Maasai experts. The 6-hour ascent is steep, with loose gravel and hardened lava underfoot, but the reward? Standing on the crater rim, gazing into a bubbling, sulfur-emitting crater as the sun rises over the Rift Valley. Another must-do is the Ngare Serra waterfall hike. This full-day trek takes you through a narrow gorge where you'll scramble over rocks and wade through water up to your hips. At the end, you're greeted by a stunning waterfall and a cool pool, perfect for a swimmer rare treat in this scorching region. A Maasai guide is required, and trust me, their knowledge of the terrain is invaluable. For a cultural experience, you can visit Maasai villages, known as bomas, learn about their traditions as a warrior tribe. The Maasai, recognizable by their scarlet robes and intricate beadwork, have lived in this harsh landscape for centuries, herding and hunting while resisting modern influences. Spending an evening with them, eating traditional food under the stars, it's an unforgettable way to connect with the region's heritage. So, when's the best time to visit Lake Natron? Aim for the dry season, from late May to early November, when temperatures are slightly cooler and the flamingos gather in their millions. August to October is prime time to see their breeding spectacle. Just pack plenty of water, sturdy shoes, and a sense of adventure. The ground can get blisteringly hot, and the terrain is unforgiving. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Lake Natron, hit that like button, subscribe. And let me know in the comments what other natural wonders you want to explore. Till next time, keep exploring the wild side of our planet.